Hi, I'm Gail Shearer, and this is my husband, John Fletcher. Um, we, I don't remember exactly how I first met Gloria, but it was during the UNICEF Halloween festivals that we were having in Livermore in the 60s. And now I do have to make a correction on Joan's vision of the past in South Livermore. We happened to own the house, the big white house on South Livermore Avenue. It was not a derelict, neglected house. It had been, it had a new foundation, a new roof, new wiring, new deck, remodeled back porch. It was in fine shape. And Bob can attest to that. They noticed when we were friends and they came by, noticed one day that my late husband Jim was loading a bed into our station wagon, and they stopped by and said, "Are you planning to move?" And yes, we were moving out on South Livermore Avenue where we still lived, and they followed us some years later. I will start first talking of something that happened very recently. I was talking to Gloria on the telephone the first week in May, and she was telling me about the exciting trip they were planning in Washington, D.C., how she and Bob and their granddaughter Annette were going to go on behalf of the Wine Institute and be lobbyists, see their senators and representatives, and then also tour places in Washington and have a grand time with Annette. And but then I said, yes, and you know, we're having an unexpected trip to Urbana, Illinois to see my sister, who is in the last stages of colon cancer. And Gloria said, you know, it's very difficult to know how to talk to someone who's in that stage in their life. The last time I went to see a friend who was terminally ill, I asked her if I could massage her feet. And she told me later that was the nicest thing that anyone had ever done for her. And I said, Gloria, what a lovely idea. I will ask to do that with my sister when I see her. And I did. And my sister also said, what a nice thing. That felt wonderful. So the word that comes to mind, I believe other people have mentioned it, was compassion. That was one of the most compassionate suggestions that I have had made to me. And it also leads into caring. After my late husband Jim passed away, Gloria and Bob showed a lot of caring. They invited me frequently to dinners at their house. Gloria gave me a birthday party, and lately she knew that I'd become more timid about driving, so she always used to call me up and ask me if she could drive me to the Antique Club meetings. And we always had a wonderful chat going and coming and sitting in the car talking before I would get out of the car. But her caring and giving these little dinner parties extended to her joy in cooking. She really enjoyed it, and as part of the Antique Club, she loved to give the spring luncheon here, which was supposed to have been held here this year, but also as a hostess, she would be responsible for refreshments. And she would get the idea that she should try out some new recipe, and she would practice it until she had it perfected, and then she would serve it to us. One of the things was lemon meringue pies. She decided that that was something she wanted to learn how to make, and she practiced until she could serve us the perfect, delicious lemon meringue pie, which we did. But she was so creative, and she was so creative in her cooking and in everything that she did. As everyone else has mentioned, this garden is just a testimony to it. However, I always suspected that part of the reason that their house looked so nice was that she had mastered the art of being a clutter buster. And I'm always trying to get rid of all the things that come into the house and clearing off flat surfaces. And I think somehow Gloria had figured out how to do that. And I always feel it's a losing battle with me. And I try to keep the Taylor's house in mind as a model for how to put things away and have it look neat and tidy. We also, years after the Taylors did, put in wine grapes. And Gloria considered herself a wine grape consultant for me. And as an example, I had an interesting experience. One afternoon in October of 2005, on a Wednesday afternoon to be exact, Gloria called me up and said she was coming over with her refractometer to test my grapes, because we had talked about them the night before at a wine growers meeting. So she arrived with her instrument. She tested my grape juice. She tasted the grapes. She looked at them. She looked at the vines, and she said, "Your grapes are ready to pick." And so she said, at that time, Carlisle at Deer Ridge Winery was the buyer. She said, "You tell Carl that the girls say the grapes are ready to pick." So I sent him an email, and he said, "I love the girls' comment. I love working with you. Keeps me on my toes." Then he explained that they couldn't get the grapes picked until Wednesday because the winery where his work was being done had no space for more grapes until then. When I told Gloria this, she sent me the following email. "Hi, Gail. Well, yes, everyone is running out of space. We are just squeaking by. Our last grapes came off on Wednesday. Our grapes look about like yours. The flavor is spectacular. I think it's better to pick too late rather than too early. Flavor is what we're looking for. Bob and I always argue about this." And then in caps, "I'm right." Cheers, Gloria. And on another occasion, Gloria had mentioned to me that to be a successful grape grower or winemaker, things needed to be done at the optimum time. One should not be careless about this and procrastinate. I try to remember this in my everyday life because I tend to put things off that I need to do. And many people have spoken about Gloria's effectiveness in the community, and I would bring some other C words to bear on this. I would say composure and confidence. She was comfortable speaking to anyone. I have been with her when she was lobbying one of our supervisors. She told me she was looking forward to lobbying our senators and representatives in Washington, D.C. on behalf of the wineries. She said, "You just have to be nice." If a group needed a spokesperson for a cause, Gloria's name always came up. She was, as people have said, a very effective public speaker. A little over a month ago, she stood up and spoke extemporaneously on the second meeting reviewing the South Livermore Valley Area Plan. It's been mentioned how active Gloria was in civic causes, and of course used lending or furnishing their winery and their picnic area here for meetings and different causes. But I had this very personal experience last fall. I called Gloria and said, "I need some advice. I'd like to put up 2 large signs for Obama, and I've been to Kinko's and they're very expensive. Where do you recommend I get signs printed?" And she said, "Oh, I'm an expert at political signs. And you go down to Way Up Gallery and get cardboard a certain size, have them cut it, bring it over, and I'll make the signs for you." So we laid them out on the table. She got her square, she drew the pencil line, she got her large flare pen, and she made these 2 signs in about a half an hour. And they looked very professional. Also did with the recipes. She took on the job of vice president of the Antique Club so that she could teach herself how to print attractive invitations on her computer. We'll never meet another person like Gloria, but perhaps we can learn from her life and try to adopt some of her attributes in our own lives. We will all be better people to the extent that we can do this, and this will be a more caring nation. My sister died yesterday. I would like to think that their spirits meet somewhere. My sister would say to Gloria, "That suggestion you gave to my sister to massage my feet was a really nice idea. Thanks for suggesting it to her."